Could you kind of trace the development, how we got from Roe to where we are today?
Sure. So, I mean, before Roe v. Wade, abortion was determined by states. And so there were a number of states that criminalized abortion, and there was a movement by states, by, abortion rights groups working in the states to try to liberalize abortion laws, including in states like New York, that even before Roe v. Wade had moved to open up abortion access, and that had become sort of destinations for people who were seeking abortion. You had a lot of instances where women had to go up before committees in hospitals and petition for therapeutic abortions. And of course, these policies favored white, wealthy women who had access to doctors who could advocate for them. And so it was really this two-tiered system where people who could afford to travel to states where abortion was available would do so. And people who couldn't would try their luck with unregulated illegal providers, some of whom were safe and some of whom were not. And so obviously many, an untold number of women died, in that, especially disproportionately people who were poor and people of color who didn't have access to safe providers. Roe v. Wade changed that system overnight, right? So in 1973, the court ruled that there was a nationwide right to legal abortion. And so all of those laws were struck down. And then pretty much from that point forward, what happened is that the Christian right got mobilized in the states. They allied themselves, especially beginning in the 1980s under Ronald Reagan, with the Republican Party. They took a president who had been pro-choice when he was governor of California and convinced him that abortion would be a winning issue to get behind for the Republican Party. And over time, what we saw is this incremental push to chip away at abortion, take it away for women of color and poor women first, and regulate it out of existence in states where that was possible. And, the first really consequential chip was the Hyde Amendment in 1976. And this was when Representative Henry Hyde of Illinois proposed this ban on federal funding of abortion. He wanted to ban it for everyone. He realized that he couldn't ban it for everyone, and so he would ban it for poor women. He would ban it for people on Medicaid. And this was sort of a missed opportunity, I think, by Democrats and by the reproductive rights and justice movement to draw a line in the sand and say, you can't come for the least among us, and we're going to draw a line here, and that's it. And that didn't happen. There were efforts, including by the head of Planned Parenthood, Faye Waddleton, in the 1970s, who was Black, first Black head of Planned Parenthood, who tried to say, Medicaid needs to be a key issue, or they're going to come for everybody else. We have to draw a line here. And there were a lot of leaders in the movement at the time who didn't want to do that. And so what happened is, over time, public funding of abortion became this sort of third rail in abortion politics. The Hyde Amendment was reenacted every single year in the budget bill, and it's still in place. And so Medicaid funding of abortion is not available unless you are fortunate enough to live in the minority of states where the state pays for that under its own, state budget. And then in 1990s is when we had Planned Parenthood v. Casey, which was the next sort of really marquee Supreme Court decision to chip away at abortion access. A lot of people thought Roe was going to fall then. And what ended up happening is that the Supreme Court found a way to sort of preserve Roe, kind of, by saying there was still a nationwide right to legal abortion. You couldn't ban abortion before viability. You couldn't impose an undue burden. And that was sort of a tricky standard that, again, like Republican-led states and people who are opposed to abortion have been trying to test and trying to push, ever since, right? Is a 72-hour waiting period an undue burden? Is requiring clinics to have, hallways that are a certain width and admitting privileges at a hospital, are those undue burdens? So that sort of framed the abortion debate ever since then. And now here we are, where 50 years of nationwide legal abortion, where that precedent is going to fall.